What's going on, boys? It is day number 9 of reading through the book of Deuteronomy. We're going to look at a pretty interesting set of passages in this chapter. First, we'll take a look at why Israel is being given this land solely based off of their promise made to them. And then we're going to look at a passage titled The Golden Calf. So kind of just recapping some things we've already talked about already and some things that have already happened in previous years with Moses and the Israelites. So we'll kind of just recap that. And then at the end of this chapter, I really think that there is a big prayer that Moses shares that I really think speaks to the Israelites very well and to our own lives today. So first of all, I want to start where we read in verse 3, which says, by Moses, he says, "But be assured today that the Lord your God is the one who goes across ahead of you like a devouring fire. He will destroy them, he will subdue them before you, and you will drive them out and annihilate them quickly, as the Lord has promised you." So the Lord is always ahead of our lives. He knows everything that's going to happen in our lives. And I think the reason why he never shares that with us is because if he shared that with us, then we would look at it and probably deny it and say, well, I don't want to do it. And so what happens here is that when God makes a promise to us, he always tries to make a way for us to receive it. And the problem with that is that when he gives us something to do, whether it's to go talk to this person or take on this challenge, or for this case with the Israelites, go and conquer these nations and possess their land, to take what God has promised to their ancestors, they're kind of hesitant about that. They're like, well, these nations, they're very powerful. They have big, strong armies. Like, we're just a group of people that was just led out of Egypt as slavery. Like, how are we going to compare against that? And God's like, look, I am always ahead of you. If you trust in me fully, I will go and take these people and make it to where when you get there, you can take their land easily. These nations who probably have soldiers and armies of thousands to hundreds of thousands are very well, a constant threat to people. And to the Israelites, they're getting afraid and they don't know what to do. And so what's happening here is that they are being told, well, it is because you have remained faithful to me that I can go ahead and take this land before you. Verse 5 through 6 says, "It is not because of your righteousness or your integrity that you are going to take possession of their land, but on account of the wickedness of these nations. The Lord your God will drive them out before you to accomplish what he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Understand then that it is not because of your righteousness that the Lord your God is giving you this land, this good land to possess, for you are a stiff-necked people." So let's take a second to think about this. So if God goes ahead and he takes care of these nations, what exactly is he doing in these nations? Well, I think there's some ideas that can be shared. Well, there's a couple things. He could create some conflict between these people to where they start having these big, I wouldn't say fights, but like there's these conflicts between, maybe, people who are on the same sides, maybe soldiers who are kind of in conflicts with one another, or maybe there's these plagues that go around, some sicknesses that are kind of breaking these people up, making them weaker, so that when Moses and the Israelites arrive, they can take this land and it won't be a problem for them. But most importantly, it's that God didn't choose them because of their righteousness or their integrity. He chose them because of a promise made to their ancestors, to Isaac, Abraham, and Jacob. Now, we know about Isaac, Abraham, and Jacob, about their faithfulness towards God in previous chapters and even previous books, back to Numbers and Exodus and even Genesis in some cases. But what's important is that God's not saying, well, it's great that you're righteous and you're faithful to me. He's like, but this is because of a promise made, and this promise that was made can only be delivered if you trust me fully. And he's like, because you're just as much of a stiff-necked people as people who are in other nations. While other nations are wicked and they don't follow my ways and they're worshiping idolatry, that's what I'm going to go ahead and take out for you, so you can receive that promised land made to you. And this leads to something that I'm sure some people may be very familiar with in the early days of Moses. It's something called the golden calf. Now, I have somewhat heard of this before, and this is actually mentioned. I did a little research just to kind of clarify, what exactly this golden calf was, and it's pretty much as it sounds. It's this calf that was, depicted as a statue that people would worship. Now, this is actually mentioned in the book of Exodus when this is actually happening. So this is something that is brought up again as a reminder, as Moses is saying, look, this is what you did. This is what you did while I was up on the mountain getting the commandments from God. This is what you did. I came back down and you were this. I think it was Aaron who was the one who depicted this statue of this calf, and that they would worship it, and God was angry and he punished them. And so this is something that really made it very much more difficult for the Israelites to receive their land. They're like, God's like, well, yes, you're receiving this because of this promise, but you're not staying faithful. You're not trusting who I am. You are becoming hesitant. You're becoming skeptical of this, and because you haven't received anything yet, you're not believing in me. You've been out here for 40 years and led by Moses. And I think the reason why you're upset is because you haven't received this land yet, and because you're not going to be told when you're going to receive it. That's one thing it is. God doesn't tell you when he's going to deliver something in your life. He's not going to tell you when you get to receive something. God, it's not like a timeline. I mean, it's going to happen at a time, but there's not a specific date on the calendar that it's going to happen. It's not going to happen on September 24th. It would be nice if there were a date we could just mark off on the calendar that something would happen from God, but unfortunately, that's not the case. But what's important to remember is, these Israelites, were fighting so much, and Moses went through so much as far as going 40 days and 40 nights on the mountain with having these tablets from God. And it even talks about how he threw them down and they broke into pieces because Moses was angry because of what the Israelites were doing. They became corrupt. It even says that down near verses 15 and 14. Verse 16 says, when I looked, I saw that you had sinned against the Lord your God. You had made yourselves into an idol cast in the shape of a calf. You turned aside quickly and from the way of the Lord had commanded you. So one of the things that I think still applies to us today is that humans are easily manipulated by things that we see, whether it's online or things other people tell us, because a lot of things that people will tell us draw our attention, whether that's things that please us or give us more money or more friends or more value, whatever that is. We are easily manipulated because people know what we like, and if it's something that we like, if they try and kind of change up the words a little bit and then share it with us, they're like, oh, well, if I share it with them this way, I can catch their attention. I can draw them off guard. And this is what's happening here with the Israelites. They know that they want to be led by God and they want to receive this land, but I can imagine what they're thinking is like, well, God's led us out here for 40 years and we've got nothing. And if anything else comes along and gives us something, we're going to follow that. But that's not the case. So it continues on with Moses just saying, look, I did all this for you for 40 days and 40 nights. I was praying to God. I was doing this. I was praying that God would not deliver his angry wrath on you. And I love how this prayer ends at the finale of chapter 9, verses 26 through 29. So just bear with me for a second. Moses says, I prayed to the Lord and said, Sovereign Lord, do not destroy your people, your own inheritance that you redeemed by your great power and brought out of Egypt with mighty hand. Remember your servants Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Overlook the stubbornness of this people, their wickedness and their sin. Otherwise, the country from which you brought us will say, because the Lord was not able to take them into the land he promised them, and because he hated them, he brought them out to them and put them to death in the wilderness. But they are your people, your inheritance that you brought out by your great arm, your great power, and your outstretched arm. So a lot is being said here. But most importantly, Moses is saying, look, these people are curious, they're impatient, they're ready to receive something. That God, I pray that you would overlook the sins of these Israelites, their stubbornness. They're almost like kids who are eager to get to their destination. Think about a time that you're in the car as a child and your parents don't tell you where you're going. You're in the car for a long time and you're tired, you're ready to go, you forget where you're going, where are we going? We are eager to always learn more. And I think that's a natural thing, that we are always eager to know answers to problems, answers to questions, and figure out why things are the way they are. But God doesn't make it that simple for us. He always wants us on the tips of our toes to say, well, what's next, God? What's next? What's next? And most importantly for the Israelites is that, they know they know about this land. They know, but it's a matter of when and where, right? And these people are just, led for a reason, and they must follow what they're supposed to do. And Moses has been with them for so much time, and Moses has done so much for them, been with them in the wilderness, gone up the mountain, shared the commandments with them. He's done so much for them. And Moses has fought for them to say, look, God, these people are a righteous people. They want to receive the land. Don't just look at them because of their righteousness. And obviously we know that when God sees this sinful nature, his natural instinct is to destroy it. But Moses is like, look, Lord, like I promise you, these people want to receive this. They really want to. And that's the way that a lot of people are today in this world. We know that we want to receive righteousness, and we want to be knowledgeable about how things work, and we want to know the difference between right and wrong. But what happens is that, there's always something that comes along in our life, whether it's something we see online, or something someone says, or someone that irritates us, or whatever it is, and just boom, flips us off, and we're done. So remember, there is a constant reminder. So God is constantly reminding us. Jesus, the Holy Spirit, is constantly reminding us to stay faithful. I believe that a lot of the stuff that is talked about in this series is a reminder that Moses is still faithful, and Moses is still the leader. Moses is still the one who's been with them for so much time. The Israelites, while they might be upset and they're frustrated because they haven't received it, they know that this promise made to their ancestors will come into effect. It's only a matter of time. So that is the end of that chapter. Let's go ahead and take a look at today's daily prayer. We are on August 10th. We're going to be looking at a title called Word Holds True. And today's verse connecting is to Psalm chapter 33, verse 4. The word of the Lord holds true, and we can trust everything he does. I find it intriguing that when I am in turmoil and my life is fragile, it is because I have leaned on my own understanding and trusted in man. Yet when I turn to you, God, my soul aligns itself quickly to rest in you, that I want more. So I am not troubled by this world, nor giving my belief to men. I want my heart to be wholly devoted to you, not swayed by man's opinion, and resolute in you. Father, you can help me to do this life as it pleases you. Fill me with your light, because your word is true, and your ways are right. So when we rely on God fully, we can see things come into effect and questions will be answered. But when we rely on our own self-instinct and we rely on man and man-made idols, we find even more stress, more questions that are not answered, because God is the only one who knows us in and out and is willing to help us with wherever we are, and he will deliver us into whatever we are called to do, because that's who he is. He is good, he is holy, and he is always present in our lives. And that is today's word. I hope that you guys have had a great Sunday morning. I hope to see you guys tomorrow. Peace out, boys.